I think it's already 2 minutes past 3:30. We have already over 90 people who have joined. Mr. Mishra, shall we start?
Yes, sir. We may start now.
Because it will not do justice to those who have already joined.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. With due permission of today's experts, let us start the first technical session of Parakh. It is a faculty development program in association with All India Council for Technical Education, and CIDC is running the program. This is the second batch, and today's session is the first technical session after the inauguration. I am very privileged to introduce today's speaker, Engineer Somnath Ghosh. Basically, it is very difficult to give his complete profile, but in brief, I would like to just mention few points to say about him. He is alumnus of IIT Kanpur and IIT Delhi, and really I am privileged to share that he had headed several very nice and good organizations like NABCB, Quality Council of India as chairman, National Research Development Corporation NRDC as chairman and managing director, Consulting Engineers Association of India CEAI as vice president, Consultancy Development Center CDC as director general. Now, presently, he is the chair of the subcommittee on quality at CEAI and a consultant with Intercontinental Consultants and Technocrats Private Limited, where he holds the position of management representative for the quality function. He had founded and managed Assess Engineering Systems Private Limited, a process engineering, I am repeating my word, a process engineering consulting firm that provided IT-based solutions and built a client base of over 250 companies, 250 companies in India and overseas over a 14-year period. So really we are privileged to have expert like Engineer Somnath Ghosh. So I cordially inviting sorry, sir, to take the session. Sir, now the session is yours, sir. Sir, please, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mishra, for a very generous introduction. And I welcome all the persons, attendees here, the faculty, the teachers, the community of professors who are teaching in various engineering colleges across the country. And I'm thankful to AICTE and CIDC for having given me this opportunity to talk to young technical professors who are leaders in their field. There's not much I could contribute. So I thought in this session, I will talk about quality, because quality is the need of the hour. As we see that our economy is growing very rapidly and new demands are coming from all sides. Let me first share the introductory screen. I'm calling it a workshop because it is interactive. I will, as we go along, I will ask some questions. Normally, as teachers and faculty members, you're in the habit of asking questions to your students. But since this is a learning workshop, I thought I will take the liberty to ask you a few questions as we go along. And you need to respond to these questions. But before we get started, my request to you is keep your audio muted so that we have better bandwidth as we are having this webinar. And whenever you need to ask questions, either you can raise your hand or you could put your questions in the Q&A section. And I will take those questions later at the end of the questions in the Q&A sections. I'll take it at the end of the this session, at this workshop that we're having. Okay, I will give you a few rules of how to respond to the quizzes. In the duration of this program is about an hour or hour and 15 minutes. And in this period, I will, every 10 to 12 minutes, I will have a question for you. I'm using a tool called menti.com. So you need to you need to access menti.com to respond to these questions, to respond to the quizzes. This is this is basically an objective type question. So you need to select your answer based on the subject matter which has been covered in the previous few slides. And those who get answer correctly, they get some points. But there is another factor which gives you points. How quickly do you get the correct answer? So it's the fastest finger first. Suppose there are 3 persons responding. The first person responds in 10 seconds. The second person in 20 seconds. The third person in 30 seconds. The first person responding in 10 seconds will get a higher score compared to the second and third persons, and so on. This is, so it's kind of a race. It'll make you interesting. The 2 ways you can access the quiz, 3 ways, in fact, you can access the quiz. One is if you're accessing from your laptop, you can open in your browser www.menti.com in one of the browser screens and use the code which is there, 57109258. Just note this down because you'll need to enter this code every time you respond to the quiz. Alternatively, there's a hyperlink given. You can click on that, which will open either on your laptop or browser. And if you are having, if you want to access this quiz from your mobile phone, which has a scanner for QR codes, you can scan the QR code which is displayed and respond. Every quiz sheet will have the QR code embedded, as well as the domain menti.com written there. So you can just access it on a screen-to-screen basis by scanning the QR code if you wish to do so. I hope that is clear. And with this, I would like to get started with the main theme of this webinar and workshop. What is quality? Quality is a very perceptual concept, and it's somewhat subjective. For instance, the lady faculty here, when they go to a shop to buy a sari, for instance, how do you find the quality? By feeling, by getting a feel of the fabric, whether it's a silk fabric or a cotton fabric or a mixture of various fibers. You get a feel of the cloth, of the sari, and see the kind of print that is there or the embroidery that is there, and you have an image of a quality of that product. However, in the engineering field, we have some methods of showing, of ensuring that there is a quality in the product. For instance, engineering products need to conform to BIS standards. So if the product has a BIS stamp on it, with the number of the registration of the BIS standard, then you know this conforms to the quality standards as specified by the Bureau of Indian Standards. Okay, so, and this concept of quality has evolved over time. This having methods of assessing standards through, say, a BIS certification is it's rather new, maybe last 50, 60 years post-independence. Before that, it was more subjective. And that's true also of the services that are being provided by educational institutions like yours. The quality could be for a product or for a service. And institutions that have very good systems and processes in place and have good quality deliverables of their education system, the students come out with brilliant colors and they get placed very well. And eventually that raises the brand equity of that institution. So it makes sense for you as faculty members to ensure that the quality of your institution is improved, is raised, so that your products are your students coming out are of a much better quality, and they, earn a name not only for themselves but also for the institution. In a modern global marketplace, quality is the key competency through which organizations derive competitive advantage. And achieving quality is fundamental to competition in propelling the organization to new heights. Cost of quality. Does quality cost a lot of money? Well, good quality enables good products and services from the organization to develop a quality brand, a stellar brand. However, if the deliverables are of poor quality, that leads to dissatisfaction. So the cost of poor quality is not just those of the immediate waste or rework or rectification. It's also the loss of the brand value and subsequently the organization's performance and the output of that organization. Now, in the international arena, of which we from India also part of, the quality standards are defined by an organization called ISO. The name of the organization is Indian Organization for Standardization. iOS, the acronym reads as iOS. However, they have adopted the name from the Greek word called isos, called equal. So it is called an ISO. ISO is an organization based in Geneva. I will tell you more about the organization later in the slides. But ISOS is not something which is new to you as engineering faculty members. You've heard of isosceles triangle, and triangle with two equal sides is called isosceles. So isos is added prefix to the triangle. You've heard of isotherm, isobar, isotherm meaning uniform temperature, isobar mean uniform pressure, and so on. So ISO is nothing new to the engineering faculty. It just means equal. And that's the name that has been adopted by this organization, International Organization for Standardization, to ensure that all organizations who adopt these standards have an equal, benchmarkable level of performance. Indian Organization for Standardization, as I said, is Geneva-based. It's founded in 1947. The same year, India gained its independence. National Standard Institutes of over 170 countries are its members, and India is represented by the Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS. This has technical committees, subcommittees, and working groups that help develop these standards. Today, there are over 19,500 standards published by the International Organization for Standardization. And ISO that we are referring to, which is ISO 9001, which is the quality management system, is only one of these standards. The ISO 9001 is developed by a technical committee called TC176 that developed this series of standards, which is called the ISO 9000 series of standards. Okay, so I have the first quiz for you on the screen. Okay, you need to respond to it. You have 60 seconds to respond to it. And you start now. I will wait for 60 seconds before I start with the rest of the lectures. Please take your time, load the software. I hope you've loaded the software. And tell us, what is the full form of ISO? We just discussed this in the previous slides. I'll wait for another 15 seconds. I hope most of you have responded. You need to respond. You need to select one of those. Okay, time is over. Very good. So, what does ISO do? ISO is an international group that develops standards of all types. And ISO 9001, which is called the quality management system, gives the requirements for building and maintaining effective quality management systems. ISO registration, organizations that get an ISO registration communicates to your end users, your customers, your other stakeholders, that you have good quality management systems in place, that you're reliable, you're trustworthy, you're dependable, you deliver what you promise. I'll just show you a sample of a certificate, ISO 9001 certificate, which has the name of the certifying agency is given out here, called DNV, which is a management system certificate. Organization being certified is listed here, and it has got a reference number and also the standard to which it is being certified, which is ISO 9001:2015. And this complies with the standards that have been, the ISO develops the standards, but the management of ISO standards is done by IAF, Indian Accreditation Forum, which is also Geneva based. They manage this. And certifying bodies who certify the ISO standard for your organization are the certifying bodies, CBs, they are called. In this case, DNB is a CB. So how was ISO developed? ISO 9000 series standards was developed by the technical committee TC176, as I mentioned a little while earlier. These technical committees are made up of industry professionals from the member countries, 170 member countries. And they set up working groups to draft the standard. TC176 is one such working group in this technical committee. The standards are circulated and reviewed until there is consensus. This is a consensus-based system. And then members vote on adoption of the document as an international standard. This ISO formed this committee TC176 in 1979 to set up this committee to form the standard. Initially, there were about 20 members. They're called 2 P members, principal members. and another 14 countries joined as observers called O members. Today, the number of countries participating in ISO TC 176 is more than 50, with additional 20 as observers. The new committee set to work and in 1986 completed the documentation for the first standard, which was published in 1987. So the first of the series was released in 1987. First of the series of ISO 9000 standard was released in 1987. So typically the nomenclature of the standard is, it gives you the number of the standard, which in our case now is 9001, colon, followed by the year of release. So the first release is 9001, colon, 1987. Now, what is the quality management system? The quality management system is defined as a formalized system that documents processes, procedures, responsibilities for achieving quality policies and objectives. A quality management system helps coordinate and direct an organization's activities to meet customer and regulatory requirements and improve its effectiveness and efficacy on a continuous basis. I do see a raised hand by Kandan M. Do you have something to talk? Shall I pause and take this question? Kandan M, you have something to say? Are you there or shall we continue? I'm not getting any response. I think he's... Yeah. You have a question. I saw a raised hand.
Yes, we will get.
Do you have a question or you'll wait for your... Okay, I think we'll continue.
Okay, sir. Go on.
Okay, what is a quality management system? You see this ISO 9001:2015, which is the current version of the quality management system. 9001 is the number for the standard, and 2015 is the latest release of the standard. So this is the international standard specifying the requirements for quality management systems, and is the most popular standard in this range of standards under ISO. While some may use the QMS to describe ISO 9001 standard or a group of documents dealing with QMS, it actually refers to the entire system of standards under the ISO 9000 series. QMS refers to the entire system of standards. What these other standards are, we'll talk about it. Like, for instance, you have ISO 9000:2015, which has a definition and details the definitions of the terms used in this standard. And then you have ISO 9004:2004, which provides guidance for performance of management, which will help you to develop your QMS. So when you're working in your organization to develop your procedures as per ISO 9001, you will need the reference of ISO 9000 and ISO 9004 to help you develop your systems and processes and draft your procedure documents. Okay, so we come to the next quiz. What are the terms and where are the terms and definitions of ISO 9001:2015 located? Is it in Wikipedia? Is it in 9000:2015? Is it 9004:2004? Or none of the above? You can use any of these means to respond to the question, and you can start now. In this case, since you're already familiar, I will start the lecture after 30 seconds. However, this question would be open for 60 seconds, and you'll find alarm, a buzzer alarm after 60 seconds when the question will be closed for you to respond. To save time, I will not wait for 60 seconds. Okay, 30 seconds are over. I will continue with my lecture. However, you're free to keep responding. Okay, the ISO 9001 family of standards. The first edition of 9001 was released in 1987, that we talked about, which was procedures oriented, written down procedure oriented, very system oriented. 60 seconds over. The next release was in 1994, which focused on preventive action. If you make a mistake, you fix it, or you develop in such systems in such a way that you don't make mistakes. We have preventive actions built into it. The third release, which is called the second revision, was in the year 2000, which focused on process approach and Pdca, plan, do, check, act. We will talk about Pdca a little later in the lecture. And the following release, which is the third revision, was in 2008, which kept the same system in place, process approach and Pdca, but there were some internal revisions and reorganizations. We don't need to bother about the standards from 87 to 2008. The current standard was released in 2015, and this is the one which is applicable today of any organization which is certified by ISO 9001, as well as any new organization that is going to be certified. And this version of the standard, that's the fourth revision, focuses on risks and opportunities. I'm not going to the details of these terminologies in this lecture because this is too short a time for doing that we need a much more. Each of these detailed sessions take a day or more. But you need to keep these ideas in place to get familiar. How the ISO 9001:2015 is organized is given in the slides. On the right side is the high-level structure. There are 10 clauses. Clauses 1 to 3 are common, and 4 to 10 are specific to ISO 9001. However, what has happened is in this to simplify the application and usage of the ISO 9000 series of standards. There is a process that have been uniform process that has been developed called Annex SL. And all the standards which are part of this conform to Annex SL. Okay. Now, we are not going to discuss Annex SL here right now. Hello, I think somebody needs to unmute his mic. Thank you. So all ISO management system standards should be consistent and compatible. That means the harmony in structure, text, and terms and definitions need to be maintained. The Annex SL in the year 2020 was renamed as Annex L, but it's still popularly called Annex SL, so you don't need to bother about these letters. The letters don't mean anything. A few of the other standards in the 9000 series which conform to Annex SL are listed here. Other than 9001 quality management systems, you have the 14001 environmental management system, which is the second most popular standard in the ISO series. Then you have 13485, medical devices quality management system, ISO 27001, information security management system, ISO 22163, railway applications quality management system, then ISO 29001, petroleum, petrochemical, natural gas industries quality management system, ISO 45001, which is for occupational health and safety management. And there is another standard which has been introduced recently, which is called ISO 20001, which is for educational institutions. We will talk about it towards the end of the lecture today. Okay, so we have the third quiz for you. Annex SL framework is designed to make it harder for organizations to understand ISO management systems, make things more complex, so that quality managers have higher salaries, or to easily understand the management systems and implement multiple ISO standards. Please start. Timer is already started. You may respond. Hope you are responding in the quiz.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good.
Yes, sir, we have responded, sir.
Okay, 30 seconds are over, but the quiz is still open for for 60 seconds, but I'll continue with my talk. Benefits of quality management system. Implementing a quality management system.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, sir. I'm unable to answer the quiz through menti.com, sir. Can you please help me out, sir?
You will have to follow the process. If you can share your number with the chat box, I will ask my colleague Neeraj, who is helping me with the quiz, to connect with you and help you to do that.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. I'll post it in the
online.
chat.
He's on this quiz. He's online.
So
Just put your mobile number on the chat box.
Okay, sir. I've been trying to do all the 3 quizzes, sir, but I'm unable to get it connected, sir.
Okay, please, you just share your number with Dheeraj Gupta. He's helping me with the quiz, but he's sitting in a different location. Like all of us are in different locations. And he will call you up and help you to do that.
Sir, same problem, sir. Even I'm not getting.
Okay, if that is getting repeated, maybe what you can do, you can respond it in the chat.
Excuse me, sir.
Chat of this. Okay? Yeah. That's because in a short while, we can't solve it for everybody.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, myself, Dheeraj Gupta, I am also participant for this. So as you said, Dheeraj Gupta is going to help.
Now, I have Dheeraj Gupta who's helping me with the quiz. Maybe you have the same name, Dheeraj Gupta.
Okay.
That's a coincidence.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay.
Dheeraj Gupta, can you come online and introduce yourself?
Sir, myself, Dr. Dheeraj Gupta, I am associate professor in
not Dr. Dheeraj Gupta, but I'm
not this Dheeraj Gupta, another one.
Okay.
Yeah. Dheeraj, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, Dheeraj.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah. Some people having questions, just talk to them if somebody's giving they're sharing their mobile number. Otherwise, I'm requesting them to respond in the chat box itself.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If you have any query, you may call on my mobile number 9717 536368.
Dheeraj, you put your mobile number in the chat.
Yes, sir. Definitely, sir.
Thank you. We'll continue. Sorry for the disruption. Okay, benefits of the quality management system. Implementing a quality management system affects every aspect of an organization's performance. Benefits of a documented quality management system includes meeting the customer's requirement, which helps to instill confidence in the organization, in turn leading to attracting bright students, diligent and qualified faculty, and more repeat interactions with industry. If this happens, your brand value of the institution naturally goes up. Meeting the organization's requirements, which ensures compliance with regulations and provision of product and services, is the most cost and resource efficient manner, creating room for expansion, growth, and profits. So there's there's need for quality management system in all organizations, including education institutions, is very important, is very crucial. I'm emphasizing that, and I thought we need to do that right in the start of this series of talks that CIDC, AICTE, DCIDC have organized, and they've given me this opportunity to get this message across to you. Benefits of the quality management systems. These benefits offer additional advantages, including defining, improving, and controlling processes, reducing waste, preventing mistakes, lowering costs, facilitating and identifying training opportunities, engaging staff, setting an organization-wide direction, communicating a readiness to produce consistent results, which is very important, which is very key. The quality management principles are enunciated in this slide. It starts with leadership given by the management, leadership provided by the faculty members to the class, leadership provided by the deans of your institute, which leads to engagement of people, the need to have a process approach for improving the systems so that the decision making is evidence-based. Decision making is based on facts and figures, not based on hunches or some wild thoughts. And this entire process, relationship management is important, including customer focus. ISO relates to customer as the end user. For an education institution, the end users are, say, the students, because they get value from the institution. The industry, because they hire the students. Maybe other institutions and organizations and corporates that you collaborate with to do research or do some development work or consulting services. So the customer focus is the key. Why do technical engineering institutions require QMS? This is a study by a gentleman from Malaysia who said empirical evidence supports the argument that by focusing on quality, an organization can substantially improve its performance. The value of the management is in what we do, not in the documentation alone. And the proof is in our evidence. So evidence-based management is the key. So you need to keep your records. In fact, you do this in your labs. When you do any kind of lab experiment, you record the observations and you make your conclusions based on the recorded evidence. So like this, for the whole organization, it's also should be based on recorded evidence. Why do technical engineering institutions require QMS? Institutions can achieve superior performance if they spend their resources towards improving the quality management system, towards enhancement of the soft as well as the hard quality factors. And small institutions could enhance the quality management to achieve a level of performance of large reputed institutions. So even if you're a small education institution, by focusing on quality, you could have the performance equivalent to a large institution like the IITs, for instance. For instance, I'm associated with a very small institute in Gujarat. It's called IAR, Institute of Advanced Research, also called the University for Innovation. It has just about 1,000 to 1,500 students. But it started with research orientation. It took students at the master's and PhD level to start with and focused on research and built a reputation over a period of 10 years. After that, it went for the undergraduate education. This institute is called IAR, Institute of Advanced Research. You can Google and check it out for yourself. And the output of this institute is phenomenal. They have invited me to be on the board. I've been on the board of this institution for the last few years, and I'm quite impressed. It's a very frugal, it's a private sector, privately run institute, doing great work. They've tied up with very large number of organizations, including companies like the Tatas, and doing research, joint collaborative research with them. Okay, this is something which can be done by each and every institute. Here we have under the AICTE program. And I encourage you to move in this direction. Check out what small focus groups are doing, and you can do wonders. Why do technical engineering institutions require QMS? As we've seen, the key drivers for the decision to implement QMS in technical engineering institutions are for the industry interaction, whether for hiring of students or for providing consultancy or advisory services or joint development programs. There's a very large program of the Ministry of External Affairs under the DPA, the Development Partnership Program, called ITEC. Under ITEC, MEA funds students from various developing countries, mostly in Africa and some countries of Asia, to study in institutes in India. I'm sure some of your institutes are already availing of the facilities of ITEC, but I suggest you focus on this, attract international students. Let international students interact with local domestic students. You know, the culture changes when you have a mix of students from other countries mixing with our students in India. Those who have not tapped into the ITEC program, I urge you to do so. It's open to all colleges. If you need any information, please write to CIDC. We'll help you to get onto this program. And when there is a need for a system to help coordinate procedures, ISO 9001 standards is seen as a good practical tool. That's why we urge, get onto this platform. What is the experience from establishing a quality management system? Professor Helgi Tor of Finland had conducted a survey titled QMS and Engineering Institutions, Can We Do Better? His key findings. ISO 9001:2015 has made it easier to build industry collaborations, both for domestic and international relationships. Gives credibility stamp both to faculty and students. Faculty does not want to turn back to the time when there was no QMS. Efficiency, transparency, and uniform systems are key elements resulting from QMS. The QMS has unified the stakeholders in the institution. There's a lot of value which has been found from the study done by Professor Thor. So therefore, this is not just a statement being made by me. I'm just buttressing the statement from independent third-party sources for you to get the message across strongly. What is the experience from establishing a QMS? Quality certification alone does not guarantee quality in institutions. It ensures procedures and coordination, but does not deliver quality technically, but it can do it if it is followed, if the processes that are defined are followed. This is a matter of attitude and sentiment and ambition and vision of the management and how institutions want to operate. Okay. We have the third quiz now. Word ISO is derived from the Greek word isos. What does it mean? Please respond. Okay, I'll continue with my talk, but the quiz is still open. When should an institution get certified for QMS? The key drivers for an organization to be certified has already been discussed in the earlier sections as having a vision to develop a global brand, a systematic and organized approach to education. Over and above this, one needs to look at the bandwidth available in the institution for manpower to manage the requirements of doing the processes required, like internal audits. Additionally, there's some cost involved, of course, for managing the processes by engaging a certifying body or for doing external audits and recertification. Now, where do you get a certifying body from? Where do you find one? I would advise you go to the website of NABCB, National Accreditation Board of Certifying Bodies, which is the national body in India managing certification under ISO. NABCB is a constituent of the Quality Council of India. I have been closely associated with NABCB in their programs, in their management programs. And in their website, you'll find a list of qualified CB certifying bodies that number 30 to 40. You select a company from there and engage them to do the certification for you on behalf of your institution. How is QMS implemented? Before establishing a quality management system, the organization must identify and manage various connected, multifunctional processes to help ensure customer satisfaction. QMS design should be influenced by the organization's varying objectives, needs, products, and services provided. So this is not a one-size-fits-all solution. This entire process needs to be custom built for your organization, which would be done by a consultant who provides consultancy services for QMS. The consultant is different from a certifying body. Certifying body is not allowed to provide consultancy services. They only do the certification. So there are consultants available. We can link you up with consultants if you need to do that, or you can do it yourself. I'll tell you how to do it yourself, show you the process. You can manage it on your own. It's not very difficult. It's written in simple English, not legal jargon, and you can manage it on your own. The structure is based on Pdca that we talked about, Plan, Do, Check, Act. It's a Pdca cycle, which allows for a continuous improvement of both the product and the QMS. And Pdca is represented here through the clauses of ISO 9001:2015. Clause 4 on the left is to do with the organization and its context, customer requirements, and needs and expectations of interested parties. The leadership, in this case, the management of the institution is the central focus. They need to be the key drivers through the process of planning to the support and operations. Planning is defined in clause 6, leadership is defined in clause 5, support and operations is defined in clause 7. This is connected to the planning process of this Pdca, which will lead to activities, and the performance need to be measured, metrics need to be established. So this connector is called the do process. Performance evaluation is done by clause 9, and the evaluation needs to be checked independently through a process improvement. And if there is a defects, you need to go through a process of process improvement, which is as defined in clause 10, and so on. It's a continuous cycle of Pdca as you keep improving yourself continuously. And that leads to better customer satisfaction for your deliverables in terms of products and services. In terms of in education institutions, it is services, and the products are your students. This Pdca cycle does not work in isolation. Pdca cycle are interrelated. At the organizational level in the institute, you'll have an overall Pdca cycle given out here. With each division, each lab, each functional entity will have its own Pdca cycle, whether it is enrollment, admission of students, or admission of faculty, recruiting new faculty, students, putting them in classes, the class process, evaluation, teaching and evaluation, and each of these is a Pdca cycle. So each of these in turn helps to build you the global brand. Sorry. So these are all interrelated. As you see, these are not in isolation. And if you can keep these cycles in sync, then you can build a large, reliable brand, and you would be in demand. Your products would be in demand. Your students would be in demand. The basic steps in implementing a quality process, I've just listed a few of them. Design, build, deploy, control, measure, review, and improve. We won't get into detail here. I'm just listing a few of the process. And after that, I come to the next quiz. And this is the last quiz of the day. What does Pdca stand for? Please select what you have. And I will switch on the counter. I'll keep it open. The counter is open for 60 seconds, but I will renew my talk after 30 seconds. Please get started. Okay, I'll continue. The quiz is still open. I'll continue with the lecture. How is QMS implemented? Above processes are covered by planning and developing the documentation for QMS, then either be done in-house or by hiring a consultant. That's what I said. You can also do it in-house. If you want to do it in-house, the first thing you need to do is to procure the standards. ISO 9001 2015 you need to procure, that's definitely required. ISO 9000 is required because the definition of terms are there. And I suggest you also procure ISO 9004, which will help you, guide you through the process. Then you do your own gap analysis. What are the shortcomings based on the processes that you have defined individually for each division and overall for the institution? And then make a plan for implementation, plan for documentation, plan for developing the procedures, documenting the procedures, and the reporting formats. After this is done, you get the management and the other key stakeholders have to get together to debate and define the quality policy for the organization and document it. Based on this effort, the quality manual can be developed, which describes the institution's overall quality management system. It states in a general way how the institution meets the requirements of ISO 9001 2015. So this is very key, step-by-step process, how you can do it on your own. Further steps: the quality manual is required by the standard and must include references to the procedures of the quality management system and identify the interrelation of the quality management systems and processes. Interrelationships that I showed to you in that green sketch a few slides earlier. The user departments need to develop their procedures by mapping their work processes ideally with the use of a flowchart. And they also need to develop the format for reporting. Training to be given to the document controller in every division, every entity implementing the procedures must have a document controller. Document controller ideally should be from within the division, within the discipline. And you also need internal auditors. But in the case of education institution like yours, internal auditors could also be from your students. So get the students involved. So they also understand and have a stake in improving the quality. Then carry out internal audit with reference to the quality manual. You need to appoint a certifying body who will undertake the certification audit and will provide the certification, the quality certification sample that I showed to you earlier. Carry out internal audits on a quarterly basis. Typically, internal audits is done on a periodic basis. Quarterly periodicity is what is preferred. And certifying bodies need to do periodic audit either on a half-yearly basis or annual basis. They will give you a plan based on your size and complexity of an organization. And this certificate is valid for a period of 3 years. After 3 years, you need to get a recertification. The certification body, CB, will come back to your institution for an audit to do the recertification. And then you get the recertified audit, the certificate. ISO certification for education institutions is being done. And ISO 21001 is a new standard specifically developed for educational organization management. It'll help you to enhance your education system and to intensify the reputation of your education institution, encourage equal opportunities for all students, furnish personalized training and effective response, stimulate perfection and innovation, present education more accessible. With this, I close with a quote from Phil Crosby, who is a very famous quality guru. He says, "Quality is the result of a carefully constructed cultural environment. It has to be the fabric of the organization, not part of the fabric." Quote by Phil Crosby. If you want, you can note this down. And with this, it's 30 minutes, 4:30, 1 hour is over. I come to the end of this lecture. I have another quote where it says, "Quality is free. It's not a gift, but it's free. The unequality things are what cost money." Quality is free, but unquality things is what costs money. Thank you very much. If you want to reach me, my email ID is given at the bottom, or you can write to CIDC. Mr. P.K. Mishra is there to help you to reach out. With this, I would like to take some, I can take some questions. I'll just open the chat box and see if there are people who have questions in the chat box. And they can also come online, unmute themselves. You can unmute your, audio, and maybe we could have a chat. Just a minute. Where is the chat box?
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, good evening. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. My name is Manoj Kumar, and I'm assistant professor at Dayalbagh Educational Institute, Agra. So, sir,
Yes,
I
Mr.
want to
Manoj.
ask one thing, that in the previous
Yeah.
year we have got this NBA accreditation. So, this
Okay.
ISO accreditation and NBA accreditation is a different thing. Or since we have got this NBA, so can we apply for ISO accreditation? Please give me some guidance regarding this.
Which accreditation you got? Can you just repeat?
Sir, the thing is that our institute has got this NBA accreditation in the last year.
Okay.
So now I want to ask, sir, this ISO accreditation, can we go for it? Can we apply for
Yes,
this,
of course
or
you can go for it. You can, of course, go for it.
or like, so what are the major differences between these two accreditations?
I didn't follow. Are you talking about NABL accreditation, or which accreditation are you talking about?
Sir, NBA, National Board of Accreditation.
Okay, NBA must be for educational institutes.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
Okay, and so I am not that familiar. I think that must be instituted by AICT. Who's the accreditation body?
Yeah, it is basically this AICT.
Yeah, so that I think CIDC would be able to respond to you. But even if you have NBA, you can still go for ISO. NBA may be a requirement of AICT. Typically, organizations have multiple accreditations based on the requirements of the segment that they're addressing.
Okay.
Sir,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
sir, NBA is totally different. But if you are interested,
Yeah, Mr. Mishra, can you just highlight what is NBA?
yes, sir. In fact, it is different body, and this body is accrediting the institutions, especially the technical education,
Okay.
technical institutions, sir.
Okay.
This is not body of AICT, but AICT is giving the credit for the funding facility or other facilities, sir.
Fine.
But dear Dr. Manoj Kumar,
May I add, sir? Excuse me, sir. May I add something?
Yeah,
if you permit.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, sir. National Board of Accreditation is an autonomous body, and it provides the accreditation to the technical programs, not the institution and not the department. It provides the accreditation to the program. Like suppose if you have in department 2 programs like BTech Electronics and Communication Engineering and MTech Digital Communication Engineering. So for both the programs, we have to apply for NB accreditation. And NB accreditation is a must. Like by 2022 all the programs should have been accredited. Then it provides, according to the Washington Accord, it provides the the students degrees are acceptable in all those countries who are associated with this Washington Accord, like America, Japan, etc.
NBA
So
is a
it gives
requirement of Washington Accord.
Yes, sir.
That is education.
That's a different. And ISO 9000, I think that you are telling it is for like assessing our quality, and that is the certification. It is little bit different from NBA accreditation.
Yeah, it is different from NBA. ISO is applicable for any kind of organization, wide range of organizations. Corporate sector, government bodies, education institutes. Basically, it defines your management systems.
Yes.
And it is voluntary. It is not required. It is market driven, not a requirement based on any body.
Yeah.
Regulatory body.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure. Any other question? Okay, I see there is a question. What is the difference between NB and ISO? I think this has just been responded to. What is the procedure for getting ISO certification? I have already, described the procedure. If somebody wants specific then you can get in touch with us. You can get in touch with either CIDC or you can send a mail to me. I can help you out in that process. Okay. I don't see any other relevant question in the chat box.
Hello, sir. Am I
Yes,
audible?
sir. Sir, can I ask sir one question?
Yes, please.
Uh,
Please do.
Suppose myself, I'm Dr. Shahnaz Ayub from Bundelkhand Institute of Engineering and Technology, Jhansi, Uttar Pradesh, sir.
Okay.
Sir, suppose if we establish our incubation center in the institute, and if we make it as a private company, then maybe we can, for that particular incubation center, maybe we can go for ISO certification.
Yes, you
Is
can
it,
do
sir?
that. If you can do that, certainly.
Yeah, because for that particular incubation center, we don't have NBA accreditation. So I think we should go for ISO.
You can do that, but ISO can also be done for the institution. This is over and above the NBA. The two can run in parallel. The one doesn't substitute the other. The two can run in parallel.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier in my talk, that organizations have multiple certification based on the needs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes,
Suppose this ISO body, can any organization certified if it is a set of rule or some management system, or there is dedicated organization have only authority to do
certificate? If you want a certificate, you have to get it from a accredited certifying body.
Yes.
Accredited certifying body. These are listed in the website of NABCB.
Okay, NB.
NABCB under the Quality Council of India, NABCB, National Accreditation Board for Certifying Bodies.
Yes, then in the same line, I have the question that, sir, suppose somebody is claiming that we have a ISO certificate or some product, we do receive a call during my startup. So we are providing ISO certificate. There are so many fake calls or some. So how we can get somebody have a genuine or not?
Okay, there is a lot of parties who are offering ISO certification and they are fake. They just take money and give you a certificate, and the certificates are fake. Only last month, I had conducted a webinar. I moderated a webinar on how to select an authentic certifying body. Okay, what I can do is I can share the link of the webinar. I can request CIDC to share the link of the webinar. In that webinar, we had the authorities from the field who were speaking, and each of these processes were explored and explained very well.
Yes, sir, it will definitely help.
I will share the link of the webinar. Mr. Mishra, just remind me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
And if you still have any questions, you can always get back to me, because it's a little opaque system. It's not that clear, and a lot of people are being made a fool of by these fake companies who will just sell the certificate. Okay, one needs to be very careful about it.
Yeah.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, can the PPT be shared, sir, if possible?
Yes, of course I can share the PPT.
Yes. This PPT will be available, and the video recording will be hosted on the CIDC YouTube channel.
Okay, Mr. Mishra said the PPT video would be hosted in the CIDC YouTube channel.
Sir, the video recording of the session, it is customary that we host the video recording on the CIDC YouTube channel.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And after having PPT from your side, we will post PPT in the group of this.
Fair enough, but if you post the video channel is good enough, because video channel is more interactive.
Yes, sir.
PPT is very dry. If somebody doesn't explain that PPT to you, it doesn't make sense to you.
Sir.
The video is better that way.
Sir.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Sir, is ISO a part of a government entity of multiple countries like AICT is for India, or is it a private entity?
Well, if you look at the trend in the globally for setting quality, it's always supposed to be private sector, not government, because the government is also assessed by the same sector. It has to be a reputed organization, privately run. ISO is a reputed organization, privately run, which has members from 170 countries. The member could be private or government. In India, the member is BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, which I believe is a private entity under the Ministry of Commerce.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, but it's a government. Government has set up that entity. So all these processes are privately driven. They're not government driven. Even the Washington Accord, an entire system in the US globally is a privately run initiative. It's not a government run initiative. But in developing countries, typically these efforts are piloted, are spearheaded by government entities because the private entity doesn't have the authority to do that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, sir, you said regarding the quality management system, we need the documentary proof we have to keep.
Yes,
yeah, my question
evidence.
is
Evidence, you need to keep evidence of the work that you do.
yes, sir. The thing is, what my question is, in order to keep these documents, do you have any standard procedures that we have to see these following points, or we have to create our own points? What we have to measure?
You have to list down your own points and just see that those points are being followed. It's not prescriptive. This is not prescriptive that you have to do this, then do a checkbox. It's not like
yes,
that.
Sir.
You,
Okay.
based on your system, based on the complexity of your system or simplicity of your system, you define your own requirements, define your own points, but then you need to follow those. And the internal auditors check whether you're following or not. And external auditors from CBs, they will come and check 6 monthly whether you're following or not. And they will also review the assessment given by the internal auditors.
Okay, sir. One more thing, sir. You said to involve one student also in that quality monitoring system.
Yeah, the internal auditors could be your students. Why not?
Okay.
Document controller should be a member of from the faculty or staff from the institute.
Definitely.
But internal auditors could be students also.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Thank you,
responsible students. You can involve them. So they will feel involved.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other question?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Jana, Assistant Professor Samant Engineering College, Odisha. So my question is that our organization is accredited with ISO 9000 2001 certified. Is it?
Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Your voice faded out.
Yes, sir. Actually, I am traveling. That's why.
Oh, I see. Okay, okay.
Hello. Am I audible?
What's your question? Yeah, I can hear you.
So my question is that our organization, sir, have already ISO 9000 2001 certified, sir. But is our organization is mandate for NBA accreditation? NBA accreditation, sir?
NBA accreditation is different, and ISO 9001, these are two different tracks. NBA is a requirement to be a part of the Washington Accord so that students coming out of the institute can get a job anywhere in the world. That in countries which are compliant to the Washington Accord, which are signatories to the Washington Accord. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I don't see any more questions. Mr. Mishra, shall we bring it to a close now?
Yes, sir. Now we may close the session,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. It was a pleasure being with you guys. And with this, I bring this session to a close. However, if you have any queries, you're still open to write to Mr. Mishra at CIDC or send me a mail. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.